Hello, everybody. My name's Isaiah, and today we're going to imagine that Lorne Armstrong was a time traveler in a parallel universe, not in the universe we know now. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that Lorne Armstrong one day was sitting in his computer. He had nothing else. It's the exact same time, but it was 2006. So it was roughly 10 or so years ago. Let's just say, not too long before the Sting. So he didn't know who Kayla Marie Moore was, or Kayla Marie Armstrong. He didn't know who Chris Hansen was, and he didn't know what To Catch a Predator was. All he knew was that he was going to be a country music star. And Lorne Armstrong, you can't change his mind when he when he knows something, it's gospel. When he thinks something's going to happen, there's no changing his mind. He's a delusional prick. Now, Lorne would be sitting at his computer, 06, 07, probably in a chat room, when all of a sudden there's a tear in space and time. And one way or another, he gets access to this Google engine right now, on this date. What date is that? It's May, Friday, like 26th of May, midnight. And he starts hitting Google and he finds, Trump's president, all these weird and wonderful things. And Lorne's like, what's going on? I've somehow accessed and disrupted the space-time continuum of this dimension. And he's trying to wander around and figure out what's going on. And then he realizes, hang on, I can Google myself and see what I'm doing in 10 years. And, Lorne probably thinks he's a acoustic guitar magician. He's got his own, record label. I don't know. He probably thinks he's rolling in the dough. He probably, I don't know how he thought he did it. He probably thought maybe, American Idol. Guy Sebastian's doing well. He did Australian Idol. He's pretty famous. Not all Idol winners. There's a saying that, people who win those shows, they're always afflicted by and tarnished by that show. It always stays with them. Oh yeah, he won America's Got Talent. He won Australian Idol. It sort of takes away from their performance. It takes away from them. But Guy Sebastian was someone who sort of overtook that stigma, that idea of, yeah, he won Australian Idol. He was on just a game show. Like he's not. He didn't work hard to get there the normal way. But I think Lorne might have thought maybe American Idol was the way he got there. You don't know. I'm assuming right now, as he's typing in Lorne Armstrong, he's probably thinking right now, it's going to come up probably a few records, not records, CDs. He's probably thinking right now, I wonder what I made my cover look like. Is it just a picture of me? I reckon Lorne Armstrong would have a picture of him sitting out, in a field, maybe on a tree trunk, with a guitar in hand, and his hands crossed, and smile. He'd probably have a hat on. Would he have a baseball cap on? I think he'd have like a kind of a Cobra, like a nice cowboy hat. I don't know, but he'd hit enter and he'd be waiting to see, what's he made of himself? Has he made $10 million? Do you think he made 20, 30 million? How many records has he sold? He's made a platinum, surely. and this is what he sees. But if you read this, you'd think that this is true. That, it's on Google. It says here, Lorne Armstrong is a victim of a conspiracy created by Dateline NBC. Perverted justice, Kentucky Bureau of Investigations were involved. He's an innocent man who was ensnared on the To Catch a Predator television show in 2007. He'd read that and say, holy shit, my life. I was an innocent man and I did nothing wrong and I was destroyed. That's what you'd probably think. And if someone has a petition up, I'm pretty sure this is a troll. I don't know who made this, but somehow it's at the top of Google. He'd click this and he'd see there were people wanting to try and get him out of jail. or get him off the sex offender registry. He'd be like, oh, look, 117 signatures, 170 people. Hang on, that's not it's not many. Why'd they put the goal? So the goal's 1,000. What's that mean? Like, if he gets 1,000, does that mean he's off the sex of? Nah, it doesn't mean that. But 117 signatures, and he'd be thinking, he'd probably still think, oh my god, that's a lot of people who's supporting me. He'd probably think that's a lot of people, which it's not. And he'd be in shock right now. He'd be like, my whole life, it's ruined. Like, I thought I was going to be a huge country singer, but I'm nothing. I've been framed as a sex offender. Oh my god. He had to endure 5 harsh years in prison, and his good name and reputation were destroyed due to the greed of the sensationalist news media and corrupt and fraudulent online watchdog group. And Lorne would be fuming right now. He'd say, my future was destroyed. I could have been something. I mean, you're 37. There are a lot of people who made big bucks, right? Some of the greatest billionaires in the stock market didn't make their money until, their 40s onwards. The guy who made that bloody Agario, that agar.io game, he is making a lot of money out of that. And he was broke like only a few years ago. And he's like in his late 40s. He's 50, I think. So you can make money from doing anything nearly. But so it's hard to say that, he says his reputation was destroyed. Well, what reputation? And he wasn't going to accomplish anything. But anyone's got the potential to accomplish something at 37. Like, your life's not over. You can do a lot. But he'd be fuming right now, and he'd probably be in tears. He'd probably look like this while he's reading it. He would, because 10 years ago, that's probably what he would look like. And he'd continue reading. Lorne Armstrong is currently having financial problems. So the first thing on Google, let alone if he didn't become a country music star, he probably wouldn't have much on Google, just his Facebook, and that's it. But the first thing mentions his financial problems. So he's gone from wanting to be a millionaire to being someone with financial problems, the exact opposite, the polar opposite of what he wanted to find online, stemming from his RSO status, including difficulties finding steady employment. He couldn't really find steady employment before. Let's just say this is a couple of nights before he met Kayla. The guy had like 10 jobs. How many different jobs did he have? And he just quit. He'd say, the boss told him what to do and he told him to fuck off. He said to Kayla on the phone that the boss told him not to talk to people. That's completely fine. Like, it depends what job you're doing, and it depends how strict it is, because I know at one of my jobs where I worked, I used to work at like a cinema just for a little bit. And it was so chill. Like, we could chat around, we could talk in between sessions, movie sessions, all this and that. But after time, they said, stop talking so much because it looks bad. Just try and keep it down. And we did. But after a bit more time, we would get that old habits would come back, and we'd start talking a lot. And we'd get told off and say, don't talk. If you talk, we're gonna have to suspend you from your job, because it's just getting out of hand now, everybody. So I can understand getting told not to talk. And if it's a job where concentration is required, which a high degree of concentration is probably not required for a job Lorne's in, but you don't want someone fucking talking for like half an hour when you're paying them on an hourly rate. You don't want to do that. And constant online bullying and harassment, which is Church of God, which he probably wouldn't know about at this point, because Lorne's only read this at this point in time while he's looking into the future. He has suffered deep and emotional psychological problems. Lorne's like, oh my God, what's happened to me? He wanted to be someone who, if they did suffer emotional and psychology problems, it would have been from drugs, as in that cliched rock star overusing drugs, getting mental problems. I don't know. The mental incapabilities that come with drug use. He was hoping they were going to come with that, not from being harassed for being a sex offender. Was forced to have his picture taken at the police station twice a year. Oh, poor Lorne. This is a troll. Like I'm like 100% sure it is. Poor Lorne. He has suffered psychological problems as a result of his incarceration and status, including emotional distress disorder, which is a debilitating mental condition similar to PTSD. Lorne would be in shock right now reading this. He would be sitting there frozen solid. I reckon there'd be a tear that would come to your eye. It's like looking at your past when you're a childhood. When you're in childhood, so when you're a kid and you see yourself running around as a kid, laughing. It was such easier times. It kind of gets you a bit emotional. Like looking to the future, it's not possible for anyone to do, but I reckon it would have a similar impact on someone. It would make someone emotional because it's your life. That's what's happening with you. And Lorne was a bad man. Like he'd scammed Betty, he'd done other bullshit things, but Lorne, he wasn't evil, I don't think. I don't know whether he was. Look, tomorrow I could wake up, make a video, and say he's worse than Hitler. I get Lorne bipolar, which is a great term coined by Andrew Burkett. But I don't think he was that evil beforehand, given that he hadn't had any sexual relations with someone who was a minor. Scamming someone's very bad, but evil, there are a lot of things people do that are much worse than scamming people. But, it's very highly debatable. Look, I feel like I've put myself into a sort of a hole now. I don't know why I said he's not evil. Because I do believe he is evil in some instances, but evil's a strong word. Like someone who murders people is evil. Someone who molests, tries to solicit sex from a kid, they're evil. Hence why Lorne is evil. But before the whole Keller incident, he may not have been evil yet. Lorne Armstrong would like nothing more than to live a decent life as a hard-working, patriotic American citizen. He's an aspiring country music star, and he's an adoptive father of two beautiful dogs, Roscoe and Sadie, whom he rescued from a shelter. In addition, Mr. Armstrong is an author, poet, and amateur bodybuilder. I can just imagine Lorne with that shaker weight going, fucking hell, man. Amateur bodybuilder? The guy doesn't even know, like, a basic workout. I can't believe that shaking routine that he was doing with that shaker weight. That can't be serious. I cannot believe it to be serious. He hopes to meet a beautiful female one day and marry her and have a family. This is a classic troll. And he'd be like, oh my God, this is true. I do want all this. By signing this petition, you are assisting an innocent man in the hopes of one day being free of harassment and bullying and giving him a second chance at a normal and happy life. And Lorne probably doesn't know what trolling is. Like, he still doesn't. He reads comments of people saying to him, bring out a t-shirt, print t-shirts with your fucking face on it. And he believed them. And he had to make a video saying, oh, are you sure that I should be making t-shirts with faces on them? I just want to double check everybody. Like, the guy fucking still doesn't know what a troll is. And he was trolled by Kayla, Amanda James, Ember. He was on the phone to Ember that time he said he was going to put his penis in her mouth. He was on the phone to her fucking saying, please don't put this recording online. Dude, she'd done it like 10 other times. Of course she's going to put it online. He's such an idiot for believing people. But yeah, he wouldn't think this is a troll. He'd think this is a petition written up because he's innocent. Like, why else would people make petitions? Someone doesn't make a petition for an evil person or a bad person. They do it for people who are innocent. And he's like, I must be. I was betrayed by the law system. And now he'd figure out, comments. Let's read the comments. Clay, Nest best pleasure. Free Lorne with purchase of one lawn of equal or less value. Alonzo Hampton Way. These are all trolls. Freak Lorne Armstrong. He ain't no pedophile or nothing. Doink the Clown. I wonder what that is. Twink Toilet, Doink? I don't know if that's related. Love pizza. Lol all day. Before anyone signs a petition, they really need to read the full chat log that spans an entire month. At first, he comes off as a good Samaritan. Let's not forget that the phone conversations where Kayla sounded like she was 8 and Lorne just got even more turned on. And Lorne would probably read this and say, phone conversations? What? I thought I was set up. What's going on? Like, did I actually speak to someone who was 8? Now he claims that it's not his fault because NBC and Chris Hansen were getting paid to do their investigative journalism. 13-year-old girl, didn't you bring condoms? Yes, I did. They're in the twat. Well, what good are condoms out there if we're both in here? See, that misspelling of where really fucked me up. W-E apostrophe R-E, idiot. Well, yell at me, why don't ya? Lorne would have no idea what that's got to do with. He'd probably think someone just put that in there. He's like, no, I wouldn't say that to a little kid. How many comments are there? There's like 62 comments. And look, it's just Barack Obama. He'd probably think that's Barack. Oh, well, he wouldn't know who Barack Obama is. He'd be like, who's this Barack Obama guy? I thought this petition had blonde hair. He would know nothing. He'd be like, free Mr. Penis, what's this? Oh, COD, what's that? I'm anxious to buy my mobile home. That's, Chuck Harding. Yeah, Charles Harding, the name there. Kayla Marie Armstrong. And he'd see this and he might think like, Kayla Marie Armstrong, do I know her? Like, she's got our last name. Maybe she's a distant cousin or something trying to support me. You're so sweet. I hope you can get your expungement. What the fuck's that? So you can get back to living life. Also, you know that I'm old enough for you to marry now. Don't you miss your precious princess? Again, he wouldn't know anything. Free hats. There's a lot of... I can't stop reading them all, but this is the first thing he'd read. And he'd be thinking, I've been framed. This is ridiculous. Look, these people are trying to support me. Some sort of futuristic manner of speaking. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to go back and see what else there is. So he'd click back and, I'm not going to play this because I think on YouTube it would flag my video. But you all know what it would be. It would be the sting operation. Him walking in to speak to a girl. And he'd be like, we've all seen it. I can't play it. Oh, well, I can play this one. I'll open this one for a sec. But yeah, so he'd be watching it and thinking, this girl, she's not 13. She looks like she's 19, which she is. Kayla is over 18. He'd probably convince himself that. And he's like, I've been set up. She's not under the age. Who's this moron who's come out? Chris Hansen? The fuck is he? What's going on here? And then, yeah, obviously you've got the Facebook profile. You've got the extended interview to Catch a Predator. And look, I've got to analyze that myself. I can't watch the whole thing now, but you'd know the idea of what would happen. He'd watch it. He'd be looking at himself and sympathizing with himself and empathizing with himself because it's him. It's his own person on a video. And he'd probably think, look, I'm not the sort of person to go after a child. That decoy looked over the age of 18. So that's probably what I was going for. I was tricked. I was, ensnared. And he'd watch this interview and he'd be completely frustrated at Chris Hansen, abusing him, bullying him. He'd be like, I couldn't have written that in the chat log. There's no way. I'm not that sort of person. But something that would be pretty interesting would be if Lorne Armstrong spoke like that beforehand, because I know in the interview he says, is Miss Vagina thinking of Mr. Penis? If Lorne said that in another chat, then the past Lorne watching this now would be thinking, shit, like, I've said that before to people. And how would they know to put that in there if I already say that to people? And there are other little things like how at the start Chris Hansen says you were trying to be the savior, the, what's the word? The fucking, just the protector. Lorne probably tried to groom if not groom, if he did groom children, then he may have used that same tactic before. And Lorne would be thinking, shit, I've tried that before on a child. And he'd be like, shit, this might be an actual chat log. And this would be the closest Lorne Armstrong would be to ever believing that he did the wrong thing. Because he still thinks he did the right thing, the moron. This would be the closest he'd ever be. Because it hasn't happened. He can look at it and critique it and cast judgment on a future Lorne because it's not him. You don't understand. Like, even though technically it's a Lorne, he is such a narcissist. He wouldn't count that as being him because it's not, it's future Lorne. It's something that hasn't happened. It's, it'd be extremely interesting. But I would reckon Lorne would reflect on a few things Chris says from that chat log and think, shit, I think I would have said that. I've said things like that before. I've said the Mr. Penis thing to another woman in chat. Perverted justice couldn't make up something like that, and coincidentally, it is similar to what I say to people. There's the petition, you've got the To Catch a Predator, what's this? Dope message board. Again, just a thread of people talking about, does anyone call To Catch a Predator? One of the men arrested on that show has developed a cult following. And Lorne would be like, holy shit, cult following, what's this? And he'd be thinking, cult following because I'm innocent. These people were banding together trying to get me out of jail. And trying to clear my name. Lorne Armstrong, the one who cried, oh God, when the cameras came out. And Lorne, because remember we read those comments before that said cord. He'd be thinking, that's where that cord came from. But what does cord mean? He wouldn't be able to make that distinction that cord is God. I don't think. He'd be like, cord. He'd probably say quad, like he did that one time to Ember. He wouldn't know what's going on right now. He'd be like, what the fuck is cold? There are literally several hundred parody videos on YouTube about this guy. Podcasts that air every few months, a website and a forum, and apparently a book in the works, which is Nathaniel Trevor's. And Lorne would be shocked. And look, this is 2015, so this is maybe a couple years before 2017, where he's currently looking at. There's video, Googling turns out some outrageous material, and then, wow, dude, one sick fuck, I've never heard of him, maybe I was better off. And he'd be like, Catch a Predator show that would entice the perp to come to a house then. Instead of underage victim, he expected the host would appear and interview him. If so, what was the motivation for the guy to sit down and talk to the host? This goes on and on and on. And he'd probably think, who said this actually? He might think that he posted this and he was trying to gauge people's knowledge on himself in the future. But I don't know, I'm not reading all this. Lorne, I think would, after all this reading, after watching the To Catch a Predator footage and the uncut footage, I think he'd still believe he's innocent. I mean, Google straight up says here, Google's never wrong in his mind. He would think everything's true. It's gospel. Right here, Lorne Armstrong is a victim of a conspiracy created by Dateline NBC. That's it, end of story. He believes it. And here we go, perverted justice. This is where shit gets real. And this is the chat log. And Lorne can just sit there and say, I couldn't have written any of this. This Sherry Twist bitch just made it up all on the spot. But like I said before, there's the phone. Yeah, I truly do believe Lorne would read things that he thinks he could have said. And that's where the past Lorne would get worried. Deep down, I think he would believe maybe he was guilty. Maybe he has done the wrong thing. Maybe he is a pedophile. A very scary thought for him, but just like Lorne now, he can cover up those feelings and thoughts with anything. He can just cover it up, shove them deep down, and believe the lies that he gives himself. The lie that is, he's an innocent man who's done nothing wrong and was tricked by the government, perverted justice, fucking Natalie, who is, Natalie Trevor, who was Nathaniel Trevor but got a sex change. Fucking hell, man. The guy's unreal. And it just keeps going on and on. It's a shame Church of Chord's not up still, but let's go images, see what comes up. And just pictures of him and him crying. It'd be pretty embarrassing. Lorne would be thinking here, what's wrong with my teeth? Like, why have I got periodontitis or something? Again, his sex offender photo. Now, okay, this is interesting right here. This is Lorne Armstrong naked. And I'm pretty sure Lorne would be able to recognize his body. But again, Lorne might be thinking he probably already does that to people all the time. And he's probably thinking they just took a photo of me doing it to an adult and posted it online and pretended it was to a kid. I don't think he'd buy that he'd do that to a child. I guess it really just comes down to, has Lorne groomed another child before? We don't know. If he has, then he knows that he could very well have been doing this with a child. But if he hasn't, he could just think that he's not a pedophile. It takes an interaction with a child to know that you're a pedophile. For some, that is. There are some pedophiles and predators who know all along that they're attracted to children. But I feel like Lorne was one of those predators who was just desperate, and at the time, there was a girl under the age of 15, 14, 13, and he just said, look, it's a girl, I'm desperate, I'm going to go for her. And that's how he developed into a predator. But again, he could have been talking to dozens of girls on there. And look, this is beautiful. I thought that was like a cum shot on her face. Is this a guy? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, is that a guy or girl? It's a... Oh man, I don't know what that is. Is that a guy or girl? That's a guy. This is another Lorne Armstrong. Lorne G. Armstrong. What's this? I don't know what this page is I just opened. What's this? LinkedIn. There's another Lorne Armstrong in the world. Jeez, this person would hate to Google their name. Fucking hell, where are they from? Edinburgh. United Kingdom. Lorne Armstrong. Over 20 years of experience helping organisations define not only what they stand for, but more importantly, how they can deliver this to their customers and employees. What is he? Holy Grail. It mentions the Holy Grail. The best of this is created through blended learning experiences that merge live and digital to achieve the Holy Grail. I just think holy Lornography. What's the chances that someone called Lorne Armstrong mentions Holy Grail? I.e. the Holy Grail being the uncut footage. Even 3 years ago, this was virtually impossible. 3 years ago, remember there was 3 years with Amanda James? That's another critical number. I don't know, I can't really be stuffed reading what he does. Wow, I can't believe there's someone else in this world called Lorne Armstrong. You'd have to be the most unluckiest person to get the name of the most ridiculed person on the internet. Because you just Google your name and, sex offender comes up. And there's Chris Hansen when he said, oh God. And just photos after photos, and he'd be like, what is going on? There's Lorne Armstrong. A video of Lorne Armstrong. I'm not going to play it just in respect of this person. Who's this? I don't know what the fuck this is. Ugh, what the fuck is that? I'm getting off track. I'm getting off track now. I'm getting just so off track. I just can't keep scrolling. This is pretty funny, actually, looking at all these photos. What else have you got here? You got Lance Armstrong. Elliot Roger, that's probably Bay Sharman. Yeah. Oh, I could just keep scrolling down. There's a photo of Lorne as a baby. Look at that disgusting thing. Look at the ears on that baby. They are so pointed out. That's like a devil, or it's like an elf or a devil. Have a look at it. Look at those ears, man. It's like gremlins. Oh, this video is just getting out of hand now. But yeah. This is basically what Lorne. How long is this video going for? I don't know, like half an hour, 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of Lorne reading online would be something like this, and he would be in shock. His future wasn't what it was supposed to be. He didn't become a country music star. Although, if he went videos and went down a bit, he would probably find one of his music videos. Yeah, Rhinestone Cowboy performed by Lorne Armstrong. Lorne would be like, oh my God, I did make it. I did become a country music star. 590 people watched it. Unreal. He wouldn't know what YouTube is. You're one of those weirdos. Straight up, just getting abused. Lorne, please get counseled to get off the internet. Terrible. Like, Lorne would be getting so demoralized reading this. He'd be like, what do you mean, finish your cigarette? What? Lorne thinks he's Cod's gift to women. And he keeps saying this word Cod, and he wouldn't understand. He'd be like, what? I wouldn't say Cod. Why do people keep saying Cod? Anyway, I'm exhausted. This video has just been absolutely ridiculous. hope it wasn't too boring. It's just been, yeah. Anyway, I'll try to get some more videos out. Till next time, see ya.